Okay, it's Sunday, which means against my better judgment, it's time to go to Reddit and see what we can find in this hive of scum and villainy. Mercy's healing only goes up to 60 health per second during her ult. If she is not ulting, her healing is 58 health per second, yes. I've had this debate in quite a few of my games already since the patch notes are written in a slightly confusing way. No. No, they aren't. I worry about you guys sometimes. I just watched a teammate get bullied and harassed to the point of throwing. I have indeed also seen this happen before. Because people are assholes, as it turns out. So incoming PTR changes because, you know, people have been complaining about Bridget since she got released, which was an entire hero ago at this point. And people are still 2 heroes, actually, at this point, because Ashe is about to come out, and Hammond's already been and gone. But people have still been complaining to this very day. And who would have guessed that after you complain for, like, a year solid about a hero, who would have guessed that eventually they might just go, fuck it, just take her out of the game. And now people seem surprised that this has happened, astonishingly enough. So, like, every month, basically, since Bridget got released, there have been, like, these little incremental nerfs, and it's just never stopped people. So now they've just gone, fuck it, just take Shield Bash out of the game, and therefore also take Bridget out of the game, you know? Fuck it. You just can't make these people happy, just take her out of the game. And that's what happened, and now people seem surprised that this has happened. Doomfist also getting nerfed, finally. This is not all of the nerfs that are coming to both of these heroes, but, you know. Also, people are like, ooh, the healer is actually a healer now. This healing buff is, like, the most inconsequential amount I've ever seen in my entire life. So, her net positive healing has increased by, like, 0.5. It's no big deal. It's definitely just a nerf overall. So, you know, whatever. That's fine. I don't care. People are like, oh my god, Tracer's gonna run rampant. Yeah, she was, like, the entire time, like, prior to any counters getting added to the game for Tracer. So, congratulations. Have fun with that one. There was a post on one of the subreddits a few days ago at this point that said, what I've noticed is that anytime a hero comes along that threatens the really popular heroes, like Tracer and Genji, that hero will get nerfed. And that has proven to be true, because it happened to Roadhog, it happened to Doomfist, it's happened to Doomfist twice now, in fact, and now it's happening to Bridget as well. So, yeah, basically, that's pretty much what happens, and I expect Ashe to get nerfed really heavily in the near future, because she's going to make... the Pharah players are going to complain endlessly. Pharah is really popular. Tracer players are going to complain. Genji players will also probably complain. So I expect Ashe to get nerfed really heavily not that long from now, because of basically that exact principle. Perhaps I'm just pessimistic, but yeah. Common problems that you are likely guilty of as a Platinum player, with some solutions and context provided. Not knowing when the fight is over. People struggle with that one a lot. It's true enough. See, this solution doesn't actually offer a solution to the core problem, because the issue is not knowing when the fight is over, and the solution is, if the fight is lost, die faster. That doesn't help tell you if the fight is over or not. That just goes, if the fight is over, die. But the problem is not knowing when the fight is over. Thinking. Using your ultimate in an attempt to solo carry. Yep, that happens a lot. Believing your first attempt at a push is your last. Basically just like Reinhardt players charge in. Winston's dive in as far in as possible. Rather than just play a little bit more cautiously. You know, go in, try and push in a little bit, back out, get healed, go in again. You know, all that business that usually happens. Ignoring the map's geometry. Mostly seen by people not using cover where they'll just walk, like, straight down the center of a street rather than actually, like, stick near one of the sides where they can use cover. And then when they come into a situation where they need cover, I have to run over to the cover rather than just being conveniently near the cover. Focusing the wrong / multiple targets in the moment. I would say it's mostly the people split among multiple targets rather than, like, I'll see one person switch between targets in a fight multiple times rather than just focus one person down constantly. Not turning around, peeling for the team. Yep, Will Bridget still be viable after the nerfs? No, I don't think so. As someone who's played a fucking lot of Bridget, no, I don't think so. Because it has make her I mean, on top of, like, all the other nerfs she's received at this point, it's just like, now, why pick Bridget over any of the other healers? Because at this point, she can't kill the Tracer or the Genji anymore. That's not going to happen. So, all she does instead is drive the person away. There are other heroes that do that, and offer more to the team than Bridget will at this point. Because at this point, she just offers an inconsequential amount of healing. A good spike heal, sure, but, like, at this point, if she can't, like, kill the flanker, all she can do is zone the flanker off. There are other heroes that do that have more utility attached than Bridget at this point. Bridget, like, if she can't, like, seriously threaten the people, like, threaten to kill the people anymore, I don't see the point in picking her anymore. Because if I'm going to zone them off, I'll be better off picking, or just, like, peeling for the person in the backline, I'll be better off picking Lucio a lot of the time. Because his will be easier to come by at this point, given how much Shield Bash has been nerfed up until this point as well. Cooldown's been nerfed, doesn't go through shields anymore. Now it does basically 0 damage, so Bridget, like, won't kill anybody anymore, basically. Unless the person really fucks up. So, if I'm gonna just pick her for the sake of peeling for people, why don't I just pick Lucio or McCree? Because they actually threaten the person rather than just driving them away, you know, at this point. Or just, like, Winston as well. I don't see the niche that she has anymore. I guess just, like, she still can, like, disrupt divers. That's true, like, Winston D.Va, she can still, like, fuck them up, because she didn't, like, kill those people, she just inconvenienced them, basically. But, like, that's it now. So, simultaneously, like, if I'm gonna pick somebody to disrupt dive, why don't I just pick Roadhog? Or Reaper? Right? What's Bridget got that those other heroes don't have at this point? Her heal, I guess. An okay ultimate, but, like, Lucio's ultimate is better for engaging and countering ultimates than, you know, so that's better than Bridget at this point. Lucio will be better than Bridget at this point, basically, as far as I see it. So I don't see the point in picking Bridget anymore after these nerfs, combined with all the other nerfs that have come up till this point. I think at this point, hey, everybody got what they wanted. I think Bridget's basically been deleted from the game at this point. I'm gonna play a lot of Ashe anyway at this point, but, like, if I wasn't, like, it's convenient that I was already going to do that, because if I wasn't, like, if I was still gonna play Bridget, I wouldn't anymore. Because, why? There's no point anymore. She's been absolutely gutted, because she's been nerfed constantly since she got released. And hey, turns out eventually when you just remove one of their abilities, it sticks. It happened with Mercy, didn't it? How do I beat a defensive Bastion in Silver? So the thing is, like, with Bastion, this always comes up, is that, like, you need an amount of teamwork to deal with Bastion, because he will also be employing teamwork with the Mercy and the Reinhardt. At least a Mercy or at least a Reinhardt, right? So teamwork kind of requires teamwork to beat, is an unfortunate fact of life. If it's, if you're, like, literally can't get anybody to help you at all, then the best hero you can pick for that would be Sombra, because you can just hack the dude constantly, make sure he's never in turret form, and then the Emp takes him out of turret form, breaks any shields that are in the way of him, blah, 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 blah. Like, Sombra's, like, the best individual hero for picking against Bastion. Otherwise, you can pick Roadhog, Ana, Zenyatta. Basically, all these people make it easier to kill Bastion, because Roadhog hooks him out of turret form if he gets the chance. Killed. Easy. Roadhog's pretty good at breaking barriers. His ultimate's really good at breaking barriers. Ana can put the anti-heal on him. She can trank him. Then Bastion should die from that point. And Zenyatta can put the Discord Orb on him, which also makes it significantly easier to kill him. Other heroes that are good are Junkrat, break the barriers, harass Bastion. Hanzo, break the barriers decently well, kill Bastion if given the chance. Dragon Strike will force Bastion and the rest of his team to reposition, which they don't want to do. Pharah, okay at breaking barriers, but mostly just like really good at killing Bastion, especially if you can get around the side of him or like drop down on him and barrage him. That's about the best you can do against Bastion, like, by yourself, is, like, change to one of those heroes to try and do it, but, like, fundamentally, an amount of teamwork will be required to kill the Bastion. If people just keep running into the Bastion, dying one by one, there's not that much you can do about that. Stop wasting Widowmaker's Venom Mine. An important tip. Venom Mine is one of the most criminally underused skills in the game. Yeah, basically every time I've seen a Widowmaker game at this point, the Widowmaker will not have a mine out anywhere and just be sitting on the cooldown for extremely long periods of time, if they ever use it at all. I know I've seen a couple games where the Widowmaker just never used Venom Mine. People don't like to use Venom Mine. I guess because it's not necessarily the most intuitive skill to use in the world, right? But yeah, these are basically the reasons to use it. I don't like using it for flank control, really, except versus Sombra, because Sombra is the only one you can't tell is coming through other means, really. Because, like, Tracer and Genji, you can look for them, you can hear them coming, things like that. Sombra, you can't do that, so she's, like, the only flanker I don't mind using that against. Otherwise, I'd rather use it for one of the other reasons. But yeah, people don't use Venom Mine very often. Do you prefer the game to have hard counters or soft counters? I think it is usually best to have some of each. The thing is, if you only ever go with soft counters, is that there can end up being things in the game where if there isn't a hard counter to keep them in check, they can just run completely rampant. We've seen this with Doomfist fairly recently. There has been no hard counter to Doomfist. There have only been soft counters to Doomfist. As a result, Doomfist has been undefeatable, essentially, because there has been no reliable way to deal with Doomfist. I think you need some hard counters to be able to deal with something that gets out of control, basically. Because otherwise, if you only have soft counters, and if the soft counters are, like, skill-based, then lower ranks, and, like, a lot of people in general, but particularly lower ranks, will just not know what to do. They won't be able to utilize the soft counter properly, or the person that they're trying to counter can be better than them and outplay the soft counter, right? Like, Winston is not a hard counter to Genji. Genji has room to outplay Winston, so if the Genji is better than the Winston, the Winston will not kill the Genji. If the Doomfist is better than the whatever you had on your team that can kind of counter Doomfist, Doomfist kills your entire team, because there's no reliable way to deal with him. And as a result, he's had to just get nerfed instead, hasn't he? Because there's been no reliable way to deal with him. Roadhog is coming up to be that, as well as Doomfist being nerfed. But, like, if you have no hard counters, if it's all soft counters, then some things will just be out of control eventually, and you will have to alter that hero to stop them from being out of control. Or introduce something that's a hard counter to that hero. I think you need some hard counters. I don't think it's possible to effectively balance a game with only soft counters, because inevitably, eventually, something is going to be too strong, right? There's always going to be something that gets added that will be, or changed, tweaked in whatever way, and it'll be too strong. And if you only got soft counters, you can't deal with it. So, yeah. I think you need an amount of hard counters. I think you need some of each, but I think you definitely need some hard counters to keep things under control. And yeah, then you can go like, well then, if they pick the hard counter, that hero gets completely locked out. don't just play one hero, is like my answer to that. Then change off of the thing that's getting hard countered, right? I've also seen enough games where people don't want to change to the counter, or they don't want to change off of the thing that's getting countered. Like, people don't switch that much, right? I've seen plenty of times that a Pharah is wrecking people and nobody changes to a hit scan hero or diva to try and kill the Pharah. They just continue to play the things that are thoroughly countered by Pharah. So, like, even if there are hard counters, that doesn't always end up mattering regardless, does it? But, like, at least there's something you can do. And yeah, it doesn't feel good if you end up being the person that gets hard countered, but, like, life is difficult like that sometimes, you know? I do think eventually Overwatch is going to require some method of, like, draft or hero bans, because I don't think it's sustainable to have a game that's hero-based like Overwatch is, where you can just freely change between all heroes at any point in time. I don't think that's sustainable. I think eventually you will need to implement some kind of draft system where at least you can ban some heroes. It doesn't seem possible to me to keep that going indefinitely, because eventually people will just... It gets too... I was going to say unrefined, but that's like a really, like, stupid way of saying it. It gets too chaotic if you can just, like, switch constantly between any of, like, 50 heroes, right? I don't think it's necessarily much of a problem right now because the roster is still quite small overall, but, like, eventually this game is going to have, like, 50 heroes, and I think at that point it'll be needed, as well as a more in-depth categorization of heroes. Like, I've already said that we're right at the point where we'll soon want to have, like, subcategories that include, like, disabler, you know, things like that, because we've now got a few heroes in the game that have crowd control on them, so, like, eventually I think a disabler is going to be needed, or a disabler role, I should say. On the topic of crowd control, the Overwatch community is absolutely fucking ridiculous, because people are, like, complaining that crowd control is ruining the game, and Overwatch is literally the only game in recorded history where people have been upset about things like that being in the game, right? Like, no other game has people going, crowd control's ruining it, take the crowd control out of the game, it's unbalanced. No, it doesn't feel good to get crowd control. This is a game design thing, where people don't like when control gets taken away from them, right? Unfortunately, right, people don't like a lot of things. They don't like when they lose, but we can't really rig it so that every player always wins, can they? This is why people don't like Mei. People don't like playing against Mei, because they don't like having control taken away from them. That's a part of video games, is crowd control, and getting control taken away from you. Because fundamentally, that's what, like, the winning team is trying to do. They're trying to take options away from you. They're trying to take control away from you so that you lose the game. So I don't understand the Overwatch community, because basically they all go, I don't want to play around crowd control. Take it all out of the game. All right, so when, like, a year or two from now, when almost every other hero or every hero in the game is some kind of high mobility, high damage character that is impossible to kill without locking them down because they're simply too fucking squirrely to get a hold of otherwise. Well, what will you do then? Will you still not want any crowd control in the game? Or will you be annoyed by all of the high mobility heroes that have no counterplay to them? If we have no crowd control in the game, how do you stop Hammond swinging around the objective constantly if he's getting healed by somebody, right? There's an Ana just sat all the way over there, and Hammond's just spinning around the payload over and over and over again. If you don't have Roadhog, McCree, Bridget to stop that person, what do? He just spins, doesn't he, until, like, you kill him or you kill the Ana all the way over there. But that means leaving the objective to go all the way over there to deal with the Ana, right? Or I have to kill the Hammond, who is being annoying to kill, while he's being healed by somebody else. If you can crowd control him, No big deal. You shut that shit down real quick. How do you kill the Tracer? Well, as history has shown, if we don't have crowd control, we probably don't kill Tracer. Unless the Tracer fucks up, or the person trying to kill Tracer is a god. So, report back to me in like 2 years, when we have a lot of high mobility, really annoying heroes in the game, and tell me if you still want crowd control taken out of the game. So, how do I go from Counter-Strike to Overwatch? I don't know. I never played Counter-Strike. Just got to gold. Congratulations. How come my flashbang didn't stop Ryan's ult? I looked at this earlier. It's like a 5-second clip. And what it basically looked like happened was that the McCree threw the flashbang, but Reinhardt's ult went off slightly before, like slightly sooner, and basically ate the flashbang before it actually went off. You know, like when Tracer's pulse bomb gets eaten because she got knocked down, like by Reinhardt's ult just before it, like just as it left her hand. So it left her hand, but it just vanished into thin air, you know. That happens with a few heroes like that. Made a video showing useful spots where you can throw your shield over buildings as Orisa. I don't think it's a big deal, really. I don't know. How should I be using Teleporter? I've been playing a lot of Symmetra lately and having a blast ripping through people. I hardly ever use Teleporter. I feel like casting it, especially in the middle of a battle, is slow and wonky, so I never do. Do y'all have any, so the most, I don't know of an alternate key binding. The most, like, annoying method of using the Teleporter is basically, you throw it, like, I mean, you can do, like, the teleport, the turret stuff, all that cool stuff with it, but, like, if you, throw the orb on, like, one side of the fight compared to where you are, you can, or the teleporter, I think I just said the orb. If you throw the teleporter to a different side of the fight you're on, you can, like, charge an orb, go through the teleporter, throw it at them, teleport back across, throw an orb at them, and basically harass them from multiple angles with the teleporter. Basically you make it very annoying because they're getting harassed from multiple angles. Kind of like Tracer-esque gameplay, where you're constantly blinking back and forth through the teleporter, throwing shit at them, basically. To me, the best Symmetra players are the ones who are able to utilize their teleporter as aggressively and as annoyingly as possible, because it just makes it a lot more oppressive to play against the Symmetra if her death orbs are coming at you from multiple locations. Yeah, that's like the thing for me with the teleporter. Resources for getting better at dealing with toxic teammates. I don't have resources for you on this one. The gist is basically anxiety about doing badly around people and getting yelled at. What I recommend doing is just not interacting with people, because the Overwatch community, broadly speaking, is full of complete trash bags. So, and like, voice chat's not as big a deal as people think it is. I still see things on like all the subreddits regularly. Should I play comp if I can't do voice chat? Yeah, absolutely. Voice chat doesn't matter as much as people think it does, because this game is not... It's not complicated enough to require voice communication from people. Even games that are more complicated than this do not require voice communication from people. If you play, like, League of Legends or Dota, you don't really get, like, super banana shape about people not using the voice chat. Yeah, okay, if they do, cool and all, but, like, not required by any means. Never have we even considered it to be required, but, like, Overwatch is the exception, where basically the Overwatch community is full of babies, and it's an easy thing to point to. That's why we lost. Somebody wasn't in the voice chat. It's not that big a deal. Unfortunately, like, people are always going to be assholes to you. Like, that's just the reality of, like, online interactions with people. Especially if you want to play like Sombra, because Sombra is the frequent target of blame for things going wrong. Even if the Sombra is, like, the Sombra can easily be the only reason you're winning the game, but the Sombra will still be the person that gets blamed as soon as things go badly. Similarly with, like, Widowmaker, though I've noticed that's gotten slightly better lately, but not, like, still, you know. Widow's going to be one of the first people to get pointed at, like, Widow, your fault. Or even if you're winning, Widow, you're doing nothing, you're getting carried, because it's really hard to appreciate a sniper's input when you're on the same team as the sniper. People are always going to be assholes to you, unfortunately. The best I can say is just, like, remember you're not going to ever see this person again after this game, in all likelihood, unless you're in very, very high or very, very, very low SR. You won't see this person again, because the pool of players is too large. Like, you'll see them once, and that's it. You won't see them ever again. After this game ends, they cease to exist to you, basically. So don't worry about it too much. Which is, I know it's not that easy, but, like, basically just try and remember, you're never going to see him again. They effectively cease to exist after this interaction with them has ended, so it's really not worth worrying about. Like, if they're going to be assholes, let them be assholes. Just ignore them as best you can. New player just getting started. What can someone quick play matches, hit scan DPS, and off tanks. How much of my time spent should be in quick play matches versus training against bots? Don't play against bots, they're a waste of time. What are quick play is basically a waste of time also to me, but like bots are definitely a waste of time. What are some of the best ways to improve in general beyond playing a lot, watching content online, basically? Streams, YouTube channels, all that. Other than, like, you can read guides, things like that, but basically, like, playing is the best thing you can do. Probably the second best thing is watching, like, streams and YouTube content. What should I do now? 4K player looking to improve. I don't know. You're a higher rank than me. If the enemy DPS is owning, what do I do as Rhine when I know switching to Winston is a feed? All in the title. Well, at my elo, Plat, playing Winston is often a death sentence as main tank, and I'm most... Not really. It shouldn't be anyway, unless you're not very good at Winston. And Orisa on some like, if they have a Fire or Doomfist or Widowmaker and a solution where I can tell switching to Winston won't work, what do I personally do with my team? Well, you can block Widowmaker. Doomfist you can't do anything against as Reinhardt, because Doomfist just kind of does stuff around you, basically. And Farah, you can try and block her, but, like, fundamentally, you can't do anything against her except try and block her. Same with Widowmaker if you're Reinhardt. Changing to Winston should not often be a death sentence to you. That sounds like you don't really know how to play Winston that well, to me, which, you know, is basically my blunt answer is that, like, I think you need to invest a little bit more time into learning how to play Winston, because he should not often be a death sentence. Sometimes he will be, yeah, but, like, it shouldn't be, like, that big of a thing for you. How do you do well in 4v4 comp? Dunno, not my area. New Rhine main, looking for some general tips. I feel like I understand the basics, healer positioning, prioritization. I strongly feel as if I've learned basic positioning and tactics to main tank as well. Dying way too quickly, my shield gets eaten up, and then once I die, team just falls one by one. If your shield's breaking, if your shield gets eaten up, like, the thing with Reinhardt is that you want to go from cover to cover, basically, unless you can, like, engage a fight, because they're gonna break your shield. Like, his shield isn't infinite, right? The advantage Reinhardt's shield has over Orisa's shield is that it's a lot more maneuverable than hers are, so you can, like, respond to things more quickly and, like, usher people through areas quickly. You want to go from cover to cover. You don't want to, like, run straight at the objective. Like, if you're attacking, like, Hanamura, you go through the gate, and you go left or right, probably right, and you go, like, through the building. Then you go from the building, you hold your shield up, and you go, like, up the staircase on the side, and then, like, you try and engage a fight on them. You go from cover to cover. If you're attacking Anubis, you go up to the doorway, you go through, you go left or you go right, and then you recover your shield while you're in there, and then you try to engage a fight. Right? You go left, shield through the door, let it regenerate, try and push up through the second doorway when they start defending up there. You go from cover to cover. What's another one? Blizzard World. You're going through the gate right at the start. You hold up your shield, you go up to probably the statue, or the room on the right, and then you hold your shield up again, you go up to the right-hand side, or you go up through Snax Ramus, you hold your shield up, go up to there, you hold your shield, you let it regenerate, you hold your shield up again, you go to the next place, your shield gets broken. So the trick is to, like, go from cover to cover, and then give it time to regenerate. And also don't, like, make sure you're blocking for other people, because Reinhardt players will often just be holding their shield to protect themselves when they could just be, like, letting it stay down and regenerate during that time. Or they'll be blocking just trash damage, like a diva 1,000 miles away, just like doing chip damage to you. They'll hold their shield up for that anyway, even though there's no reason to do that. For like, they could just be letting it regenerate during that time. Things like that. If your team gets killed 1 by 1, there's not a lot you can do about that, because that is usually because people are going off and trying to do their own thing and getting punished for it, if people are dying 1 by 1. It can be that people are not responding to, like, flankers, probably, but that's not your job as Reinhardt either. That's, like, the off-tank's job to deal with flankers. There's a fly in here. Yeah, that's about all I got for that one. The shield one is probably the big one, to be honest with you, because that tends to tie in with dying a lot as well. And here's the next page. Let's go. New player just getting started. What can someone tell me what I should do next? We just looked at this. This is just shifted to the second page. Great. How do I optimize my settings for my laptop? I'm not a tech guy. I don't know. Finally found them with the best sensitivity. Great for you. I'm a Hammond player. Many of you have low expectations for my performance. What can I do to make you less skeptical? I'll let you know when I find a Hammond player that has made me less skeptical. How to use Roadhog Ultimate. Playing off-tank role in Plat season. I understand how to use Zarya, Hammond, and Diva's ult, but I don't know how to effectively use a Hog ult. Seems like, go away. I'm just wasting it all the time because it's not really effective at getting kills. Yeah, so the cool thing about Roadhog's ultimate is that it's just giant area denial, basically. The most common reason to use Roadhog's ultimate is you go, I don't really like the look of this team fight. Let's call the whole thing off, right? Just reset, boys. Wait for it to start again. It's basically impossible to, like, push through Roadhog's ultimate. So unless you can crowd control Roadhog or kill Roadhog, him using his ultimate calls the whole fight off. So you can use it to stop engages, basically. It's also good for comboing with, like, Graviton or Nano Boost, because then it does a fucking lot of damage. You can use it to kill people if there's, like, an edge, or you can pin people into a corner with it. But most commonly, it's just used to, like, deny fights, or deny other ultimates. Like, if Winston starts using Primal Rage, you can stop that whole Primal Rage dead. If Genji's using Dragon Blade, you can stop the Dragon Blade. Or you'll get him to deflect at least and waste time on Dragon Blade and give people to get away. Like, you can stop Dragon Blade. They try and push in with, like, a Sound Barrier. You can stop that. Just push them all back again. You can use it to, like, split the enemy team up. Things like that. But it's the best use for Roadhog's ultimate is basically denying engages or denying other people's ultimates. It is also good at comboing. The geometry is really required for it to actually, like, kill people. Putting this here, since /Overwatch is very childish, like, this is any better. Does Sombra need to be nerfed? Nope. What should I do in these situations? I have this issue where my brain just goes on autopilot. I've tried to fix it multiple times, but it just doesn't go away. I hop into games of comp having no idea what I'm doing. I don't make calls. I don't think about pretty much anything except how terrible I am. I'm a main tank and Grandmaster. I mean, basically all you can do is try and be, like, really cognizant of what you're doing, and as soon as you catch yourself just basically going into autopilot, you, chastise yourself for it. And, like, it might take a really long time, but eventually it'll stick. Like, our stupid monkey brains are very bad at, like, actually changing how they work, so it tends to be a fairly long-term investment to change something like that about yourself. But you basically just have to be, like, really, really conscious of what you're doing. And when you catch yourself doing it, you just have to, like, tell yourself off, and eventually it'll stick. As, fundamentally, it's like, how do I change something about me as a person? And the answer is by putting in a lot of effort into not having that be you anymore. About May being super strong in Gold and Below, I fell in love with her again and have climbed. Oh, good job. Good. Oh, that's a pretty sick. That's a lot to climb. That's almost 1,000 points. Great job. How do I create space against compact compositions as Winston if I don't see an opportunity to jump on their backline without being instantly deleted? Usually the scenario takes place on initial engagements. I'm currently on a team and trying to solve an issue that I've noticed myself. Feeding. I always call out my dives. Not that this is specifically an issue on only this map. Didn't mention a map, whatever. But I've been Nepal. I'm stupid. Whatever. Don't worry. Let's say village. When trying to get through the either choke on main or top right, if their team is compiled above the point on the wooden bridge, I struggle to find an appropriate target to dive. Should I be suggesting a rotation to split their team comp up and subsequently find a target to drive? What would be a way to do this to bait them into engage? So, this is a very common thing. So, or a common question like Diva and Winston players ask. So basically, you have to be way more patient because they're never gonna position correctly the entire game, right? Eventually, someone's gonna stray off on their own. They're gonna split up ever so slightly. Somebody's gonna find an opportunity, and then that's when you go in. So you can either play way more cautiously, and just basically slow way down and wait for an opportunity. You can try and find like a safe angle to harass them from, because if you're on like Hollywood, say, first checkpoint, if they're all huddled together on the objective, then you can jump on the high ground next to the point, right outside as you come through the gate, that high ground, and you can tase them or shoot down at them from the balcony, and it's relatively hard for them to kill you up there, so you can just leave if they start harass, and you can just like harass them from up there until you see an opportunity to go down. You can try and play flanker-esque, where you go like behind them or to the side of them, and you just sort of harass them from the side, and like they have to pay attention to you, because if they don't pay attention to you, the Winston back there, they know that you can jump on the backline and kill them. So they have to pay attention to you, but they also have to pay attention to the front line as well, because if they just devote all their attention to you, the rest of your team gets to pick a fight while their backs are turned, right? So they have to pay attention to you, but they also have to pay attention to the rest of your team. So you slowly start pulling the team in two opposite directions, provided you don't die and your team doesn't die. This is an important caveat. So you slowly pull them in two different directions, and then eventually one of them, like one group is going to go too far away from the other, or like one person is going to go too far away from the group, and then that's your opportunity. The other alternative is if they're playing like they are just like super compact, staying together and protecting each other all the time. Your other option is change off Winston and pick Reinhardt. Right? Like you can slow it down. You can try and harass them from a safe area. You can try and like flank them and pull people away, or and just basically wait to see an opportunity. Just play way more patiently than you currently are, or change off Winston. That's basically the extent of it. Because if they're playing super compact together and like protecting each other, they're playing as they should against Winston. So you have to find the opportunity to get in on them or change off Winston. Those are your choices pretty much. What to do with toxic teammates? With toxic teammates in a pre-made team. I've one where he kept flaming people on the other team and complaining about OP characters. How do I deal with him? Coldly removing him from it. Just like sit the dude down and be like, dude, you're an asshole. Don't be like that direct about it. Try and be polite about it still, but like sit the person down and go like, look man, you're really bringing the whole team down. Your attitude is not gelling with everybody. Can you try and tone it back a little bit, you know? I just talk to the person, and if they are a person worth associating with, they will respond in a mature manner and will go, oh, sorry, man, I didn't realize it was like bogging everybody else down or something, or I'll try and stop, you know, things. They'll respond like a sensible human being. If they respond like an asshole and basically say, there's nothing wrong with me, you guys are you're just all pussies or something like that, then just go, guilty. You know? Just talk to the person, and if they respond like a normal human being should respond, then it will not be an issue. If they respond like an asshole, they are probably not worth associating with anyway. Just talk to people, you know? And if this is anything like this, just talk to the person. If they're being an asshole, if you've got an issue with a person, present the issue to the person and try and solve the issue like rational adults do. And if the person does not respond like a rational adult, just go, whatever, delete. Because if they are that kind of asshole, you don't need to deal with that kind of person. You know, they're not worth the time if they're going to respond to a fairly... Like, if you present your request in a respectful and non-asshole-ish manner, if they respond like an asshole, they are not worth associating with. Where does one find a good coach? Wouldn't know. New to Overwatch. What are good team comps and counters to certain hero? What certain hero? And what heroes consist of dive comp or goats? Goats is triple tank, triple healer. Lucio, Ana, Moira, Rhine, Zarya, Winston, something like that, you know, just off the top of my head. Dive comp is like, Winston, D.Va, Tracer, Pharah, Genji, one of the, basically two of the flanker heroes. And Mercy plus Zenyatta or Mercy Lucio. Sometimes it'll be like Mercy Ana, Mercy Moira, you know. Mercy's just like good with a dive comp because the more mobile your team is, the easier it is for Mercy to be mobile. There's quite often a Pharah who obviously synergizes well with Mercy. And then if you like, Ana can be an issue because you have to actually hit the divers, so she's not always great. Someone like Zenyatta or Lucio enable the divers to kill people really quickly, so they tend to synergize well with dive heroes, just because they increase how quickly people can kill other people. Also trying to find what heroes counter what. So if my team's getting beat by a certain hero. So if they're getting beat by a flanker, you want a hero with crowd control. Or very reliable damage, like Winston can counter flankers not because he really can kill them necessarily, because they can all leave, like they can all get away from Winston, but because he does like guaranteed damage to them, he zones them off, basically, because they can't just like come up and try to kill the Mercy super easily, because Winston's right there, like he will tase them to death, right, unless they can execute really well and kill the person. So you either want crowd control or you want reliable damage to counter a flanker. To counter tanks, you want like Ana, because she's got the anti-heal, which really fucks tanks up. Zenyatta, because Discord makes tanks really squishy. Sombra really fucks up tanks. Reaper fucks up tanks. Roadhog fucks up tanks. Let's see. If it's Pharah, you want a hit scan DPS because they're the most reliable at hitting her, or a D.Va because she can harass the Pharah as well and eat her projectiles, eat barrage, all that, and just harass her. What else we got? We already talked about like Bastion comps. It was like a long range DPS like Widowmaker, Ashe in the near future, Hanzo, Soldier. You want dive heroes like Winston, D.Va, flankers as well. Basically people who can close the gap on them very quickly or come at them from unusual angles and harass them, because the difficulty with them is closing the distance on them more than anything else. What else we got? That's all I can think of right now. That's all I got. That's all I got. It's like, it's 6 a.m. And I'm a tired boy. I've still got the ear infection, like fucking infinity years later. It just won't fuck off. What else we got? Foot itches. Power's actually turned off right now. My monitor's turned off. I got all kinds of excuses. If you need more, please do come back. When should I reload? When nothing is happening, or when there's like a break in the fight, which is a little bit not the same as when nothing's happening. Like, suppose you're fighting a Genji, and you see him start deflecting in front of you. You can take that time to reload because you don't want to be firing at him while he's deflecting, so you just sort of make use of that downtime where you're not shooting at him, right? So you make use of that time by reloading instead of just kind of standing there staring at him waiting for the deflect to end. Bridget playstyle with nerf discussion. Pick a different hero. Why do we need both hit scan and projectile DPS? The strength of hit scans are obvious. What are the strengths of projectile DPS? Do they deal more damage, or is their kit better? I mean, they always have very, like, different kits. Like, not Zenyatta. Genji could never be, like, a hit scan hero, right? Like, it just wouldn't make sense for him to be one. The thing is with projectile heroes is that, like, they have trade-offs still, because, like, Junkrat, he would not be able to do what he does as a hit scan hero, because his thing is area denial and clogging up choke points with projectiles, so he has, like, a lingering, projectile in the area, and that creates a zone people don't want to go through. So he couldn't work as a hit scan hero. Pharah couldn't work as a hit scan hero, and she can do, like, corner peeking and things like that because she has a projectile weapon. Makes it very hard to kill. But, like, you couldn't have, like, a hit scan rocket, right? You know? So, like, it's just that, like, some weapons and some heroes don't make sense as hit scan. They, like, have to be projectile to really, like, work on, like, a fantasy level, essentially. Because, like, every hero is trying to capture, like, a kind of fantasy, right? Like, if you're playing Genji, you're trying to capture the fantasy of being a cyborg warrior ninja. So, you throw shurikens at people, you don't run at them with a fucking semi-automatic pistol, do you? You know? So, it's like, some heroes... Like, Junkrat couldn't do his job if he was a hit-scan hero, but, like, some heroes, fantasy-wise, just don't make sense as hit-scan heroes. You can't have a hit-scan rocket launcher. So, like, Pharah... Like, she has to be that way. But the trade-off is also that because they're harder to hit projectiles, they usually get to do more damage as well, right? Like, Junkrat and Pharah, they do, like, more damage per projectile. They can't headshot, obviously, but, like, getting direct hit by a rocket feels really fucking bad, doesn't it? So, they get to have different kinds of kits, but, like, some weapons just, they can't be hit scan. They have to be projectile. And, like, it lets you do things like zone denial with people like Junkrat, because otherwise... They can't. Like, he can't do that as a hit scan hero. I don't know. Anyway, with patch info, I always go to blizztrack.com, .net. I don't know what it is. You type BlizzTrack into Google, you'll find it has the patch notes and the PTR patch notes for all of their games. Hero role I should classify as when looking for team. For problem, I'm normally a main tank, however, when playing main tank, I only manage to climb out of gold and hover around. I have flexed and played main tank less and less, and I've managed to climb 2 in the last week of previous seasons. I would say main tank feels like my best role, however, with my... So, main tank is, like, better if you do have an organized group, which I would hope you were getting if you were getting out of looking for team. So main tank should be less of an issue if you're like, because they do benefit more from like coordination from your team, so it shouldn't be such an issue. But like, just pick whichever you feel like okay, the real answer is pick whichever one you want to play. Like, you should always pick the one you want to play, ideally. But like, besides that, pick the one that like you feel you have the highest chance of winning with, and like I can't tell you what that is. It's just, you know, if you think that you have a better chance main tank, do that. If you think you have a better chance with the other one, do that. Pick what you want to do, though, is like the real answer. I need help with competitive tactics. How to improve my competitive games. Lately I've been losing most of my matches in competitive. It seems to not have a I've tried constantly to switch to use different team compositions. So it sounds like you're just doing like a lot of switching around on heroes. Just like, I don't recommend like being a super flex player. You should just be able to play. You should focus on like one or two heroes out of each role and try to get really good at those, because, like, trying to flex to, like, a bunch of different team compositions, it's better to be really good at a few things than just average at everything. So I would say just, like, try and focus on, like, a couple heroes, because, like, I mean, it sounds like you do, like, a lot of switching around. Sometimes you don't need to do that much switching around. Try and just, like, focus on getting better at, like, your core roster is basically what I would say. How do I deal with Roadhog? I really don't give a shit about my rank. Relative noob, I want to steer your own time. So, the big thing with Roadhog is that he punishes people for positioning badly. Really easily. So if you're having problems with Roadhog, it's probably because you're walking around out in the open, you're not using cover properly, you're not using shields properly, because, like, he's really good at punishing you if you position badly. Like, crowd control in general is really good at punishing people for positioning badly, but when your crowd control is a 21-meter hook that brings you to the person, he's really fucking good at punishing bad positioning. So it's probably not using cover properly, just kind of wandering around out in the open, not using cover, not using shields, that kind of thing. That's the biggest issue with Roadhog players, and if you're only, like, level 46, you're probably not super custom playing the game, so you're probably, like, I mean, people all the way up in fucking, like, Platinum and Diamond aren't using cover properly still, so, like, it's probably bad positioning getting punished. Try and focus on, like, using cover and shields more. And I don't care about 3-as over here. So, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. And I hope you found the video helpful.